All right, sports update. Adrian, Reid was good.
Good.
Yeah,
Yep.
let's go ahead and dive right into it. So the Wings, we haven't touched on the Wings yet since they started the season. So Reid, I did want to lead off with them. They're currently 7-9, couple games under 500, 7-9-2. Excuse me, only 16 points on the season. What's the state of the Red Wings right now?
Yeah, their power play defense is horrible. Their goalie situation is horrible. They have two good defensemen and Sider and Edvinson, two young guys. Um, they I just saw the stat the other day. They've traveled. They've gone out west. They played 3 games out west. I think they're 0-2-1 in those games out west. They just lost to the Sharks, who had the first overall pick last season, who are not good. A very young team. The goaltending I keep saying is the problem. A lot of other people will say the defense, which it is. Penalty kill is not good, but the penalty offense is actually really good. I think they're like top 10 in the league for their penalty offense, or power play offense, I should say. But yeah, I mean, I think they were kind of riding a high on the last season, almost making the playoffs, thinking that they were okay enough to kind of make it. I think the offensive side of the puck is okay. I mean, Casper's looked all right since he's come in. Obviously you have Kane's playing well, the Brinkett, Lark, like all the household names that we have are playing well. Tarasenko's playing good. So it's just this defense and this goaltending unit is just not good. I mean, I keep saying go get Igor Shesterkin, who is a goalie for the Rangers. I don't know if they'll be able to pay him. He wanted to get out last year. He wanted to get extended. I think he's 28 or 29. He's around my age, but he's like the best goalie in the NHL. And if you're trying to play to win, and you need a goalie, because it doesn't seem like Kosa's coming up anytime soon. Well, maybe he is now since they're so bad. Augustine is still at Michigan State, so he's got time. It's a bad situation. They decided to keep Jeff Petrie, who's no good. Ali Mata's not great. It seems like they took 2 steps back from last season, and they thought they had better guys than they did, which obviously they don't. So last thing I'll say is Yzerman needs to be active during the trade deadline. He needs to go and he needs to get some good defensemen. Losing Perron sucked. He was obviously a good veteran to have, but he's got to. If he does one thing, I think he should trade for Shesterkin. I don't want to see these. Don't keep these draft picks around or these prospects around at this point, because you might not be seeing them soon. So I would try and get rid of those. How hockey and baseball are. Those picks really aren't worth much for the most part, unless you find a generational guy.
Yeah, Reid's more the hockey guy than I am, but they're tied for the last in the Eastern Conference right now. Did not expect that. What are we in year 6? 6 of the Eyes are playing. At one point, like we talked about it with Scott Harris for the Tigers, you got to make some moves. You got to be aggressive and just stop standing pat. Obviously, like Reid's talked about, some of these guys haven't developed like we thought they would. You got to go make a big splash, something to move the needle, because this isn't just getting the job done. I know they talk about firing the coach, but in hockey, what does that really mean? I mean, Bruins just fired their coach today, and they're a game above the Red Wings, but it doesn't do anything. You're gonna have to make some moves to upgrade this roster. Obviously, like you said, it's been a disaster on the road trip. They got a minus 14 goal differential. It just cannot happen, especially against some of these terrible teams. So at what point do we talk about Yzerman pressure being on him? Everybody know he is the legend to play for the Red Wings, but as a GM, you have to hold him accountable. You have to hold him to a different kind of standard than the past. So it doesn't get the job done now. So the Red Wings got to make some moves, man, because if not, it will be a disastrous season. Like we already talked about when the season ended last year, they should have made the playoffs, and now we expected more, and you're just not getting that.
I will say really quickly, I have known to defend Yzerman. I am also still hard on him because I think he should trade away picks and stuff. I do think a lot of the guys that he drafted, though, are going to be pretty solid players. I think Danielson can be a good center when he gets up. He probably will be here another year or two. I think Casper is probably going to be here to stay this year. He obviously drafted Raymond and Sider and Edvinson. So I think a lot of his draft picks are great. I think the problem is he's not doing enough during the trade deadlines, but he does a lot in free agency too. I mean, even last season, he signed a lot of good free agents. He just doesn't do a lot during the trade deadline, which is huge. Like when you have a hot hand, you need to play on it. So I think like last year he didn't do enough to go and get a top free agent. So if they can do it this year, or do a trade deadline, I think it's again. I know everybody. There was a time when they wanted to brink it, and we ended up getting to brink it. I am pounding my fist, and I'm going to put it out to the universe. I really hope that he trades and can go get Shesterkin somehow. I mean, you're going to have to obviously pay him, but a good goalie to have is we were talking about it. Good defense gets you to the playoffs. A good goalie wins you in the playoffs. So if you can figure out how to trade for a solid defenseman, or get a guy off the free agency market or something like that this season to help, and then trade for Shesterkin, I think you'll be in a good spot. I am not a fan of Lalone either, but I'll still give him some time because the defense is great.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and speak that into existence. We're gonna speak that trade into existence.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you want to make moves, do things now while it's still early. You don't want to go too far off the deep end and then when you're already drowning, trying to get your head above water. So we'll see if they make any moves. So Wings play Islanders this Thursday down at LCA. So see how they do Thursday. All right. So we had the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight this weekend. Numbers are in for the fight. They're saying it's the biggest gate for any boxing or MMA event outside of Vegas in U.S. history. It was 72,300 people attended, and it brought in 18.1 million in revenue. So, Adrian, what you think of this fight? And do you want to see Tyson in the ring again?
I'll make this very quick and simple, and then we can move on. One, Netflix, get your act together because the streaming was terrible. I know we got NFL game coming up on Christmas, especially my Steelers. And if I turn this game on, and this is lagging, I'm gonna lose my mind. But with that being said, moving on with this Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, I'm gonna say everybody knows the monkey in the room. It was rigged. It's very obvious. Mike Tyson had plenty of opportunity to throw major punches and just kind of just backed off a little bit. And then you could just tell at one point in the timeout, you could see the look on his face. He's gassed. He's almost a 60-year-old man fighting a guy who's 31 years younger than him. I mean, Jake Paul has some talent, but let's be real. He's not fighting anybody of any substance. And no, I do not want to see Mike Tyson fight again. Overall, the overall thoughts on this fight was it's about what I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of what everybody expected. We were all hoping for, like a classic Iron Mike come out, knock him out. I think everybody could have kind of realized that it was a little staged. I mean, I do kind of agree with Adrian. I've seen a few like conspiracy theory videos that have come out showing some pretty solid evidence of Tyson pulling punches or not going for punches that were open. That part, I mean, he came out in the first round like firing hot, and Jake looked scared, and then he got him up against the ropes at the end. I think it was round 1 or 2, something like that, and you could tell he said something to him, and Tyson kind of like backed up and looked at him and like tapped him on the shoulder, and then Mike started just like kind of slowly walking to Jake after that. Granted, he could have gotten tired. He hurt his knee. But yeah, I don't know. I'm with Adrian. If this fight wasn't free on Netflix, I would have obviously illegally streamed it. But wait, I didn't say that across that for the record. But no, I probably wouldn't have even watched it. But because you kind of knew what was going to happen with it. It just ended up being that kind of Jake Paul showman fight where he wanted to make it, have all eyes on me. He's never going to fight a real guy. You saw what happened with the Tommy Fury thing. I don't think you're ever going to see him fight a real contender. And I know that some serious boxer just challenged him, but I don't think. I think Jake Paul won't take the fight because he would lose to a serious boxer, and I just think that it doesn't draw enough eyes. Like obviously, people like the Mike Tyson idea. If you insert medium level boxer's name here, it's not going to draw the interest that a retired MMA or a retired boxer guy would bring.
Yeah, I thought the co-main event was real good with Katie Taylor and Serrano. Their second fight, that was a good fight right there.
Her eye was.
Yeah, that was nasty. That was nasty. I want to see Katie Taylor fight Clarissa Shields. I think that'd be a good one.
I think Serrano got robbed though, but
I thought the fight was it the fight. There was one in between the girls and Paul and Tyson, right? Wasn't there one right after? There was another men's fight that I thought was decent. The first one was horrible, but there was another men's fight I thought was okay. I mean, it was enjoyable to watch, I should say.
Yeah,
but I don't remember who it was.
Yeah. So, Reid, UFC 309 also this weekend. We see John Jones with the knockout of Stipe Miocic in the third round. So who would you like to see John Jones fight next?
Tom Aspinall, honestly. I think that's where the money is. Everybody says Pereira. I mean, I don't think that'd be as good a fight as everybody says because Pereira, I think, is a real big, he's not a huge wrestler. He's strong. I mean, I love Alex Pereira. He's my favorite UFC fighter right now, and he's cracked my list of my top 5 favorites, actually. But John Jones, I think, is just a better, like, he's still amazing. I knew how that fight was going to end. I mean, Stipe's 41 years old, man. He's lost his last 3 fights, and he lost. I think he lost his last one by knockout. It's. I mean, it was sad to see, but it was kind of just. I feel like a last hurrah payday for Stipe. But I would like to see him fight Tom Aspinall next. Obviously, Tom, I think, would have to drop a little bit of weight, maybe. I don't know what John Jones officially weighed in at for this fight, but Tom, I think, he's listed at like 251 right now, something like that, which is crazy. But he's a big guy. I would like to see John Jones fight him. If he doesn't, obviously Alex would be interesting, but I just wouldn't want to see Alex go in there and lose because I think that he would have a hard time with John Jones. John Jones is just too much of a wild card of a fighter for Pereira.
Yeah, honestly, I like Aspinall. I do think Pereira would give him a better fight because he's a striker and he's a little more powerful, I think, and he's a little more skilled in my opinion. But I mean, John did say he doesn't want to fight him, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But with this fight, it just goes to show how dominant John Jones is, especially he's been in out the ring as long as he has been. I mean, he left Stipe had a rib fracture, kidney laceration, and something else. But you just see the dominance, the all-around fighter that John Jones is. He can do everything, and his talent is still elite at it with age 37. So he continues to just keep padding stats as the greatest UFC fighter of all time, in my opinion. But I just want to see a good fight. I don't ever see him retire yet. He still has I believe, a lot left in the tank. So bring on the best challenger. Him and Dana, UFC, figure it out.
You know what's crazy to me is that Alex Pereira, I believe, is older than John Jones. I think he's a few months old. I think Alex Pereira is 38.
Well, he did come into the UFC pretty late, didn't he?
Came in late. He was in kickboxing before too. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, good. He's 37, so they're the same age.
Okay, same age. I thought he was 38 already. But did you guys see that Adesanya is set up for a fight? I don't remember who it was, but it's his first non-title fight since 2019. It's in February is when the fight will be.
Okay, no, I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, it just popped up. I don't remember the name of who he was fighting. I'm sure Adrian could obviously figure it out, but I could probably look it up too. But
I got you.
All right, just some of the feedback here. It says, I would like to see John Jones versus Francis Ngannou fight.
I would not.
John Jones would put him.
Yeah, he would. I love Francis too. Francis was my guy for that stint when John Jones was gone from heavyweight. I think it wouldn't even be a fight. The only thing that Ngannou could do is run straight at him and just try and hit him with the heaviest punch that he could. But he can't stand in the ring with John Jones. He has no wrestling defense, no takedown defense. He would get just absolutely mauled by John Jones, in my opinion.
All right, next one here from David. David said Jake Paul versus Chuck Liddell would be good.
He might still be too young, though, David. It might have to be like Royce Gracie here.
How old is Chuck Liddell? Let me see.
If I had a guess, don't tell me. If I had a guess, Chuck Liddell's
50s in his 50s.
Yeah, I don't see him. The older guys fight the young. He's 54. He'll be 55 next month.
That was close.
By the way,
Nassourdine and Mavov. I'd probably butchered that, but that's who he's fighting.
Yeah, I can't even.
February 1st. In the works to headline a UFC event in Riyadh on February 1st. First non-title fight since 2019. Which is crazy to me.
It's crazy.
For sure. All right, so Adrian, you did get to go see Bryce Underwood live in person at the Belleville in Central Catholic game. So what was your analysis on Bryce Underwood, and how do you feel about Michigan and the NIL money they're trying to push at him?
All right, first, let's say great game, great atmosphere, especially for the state of Michigan. We don't get enough credit for being talked about as a good football state, in my opinion. Guys, when I went to the game, because I want everybody to know, they said when we were leaving that it was 7,800 people, but the AD at CC tweeted out and said it was over 9,800 people. It's almost 10,000 people for a high school regional football game. It's crazy. And we don't live in the state of Texas or California or Georgia, Florida, etc. But that being said, from going to the game, I thought Belleville was going to win this game, but as the game started, as we all know, Catholic Central is a private school. They just dominated on the line of scrimmage. You can just see throughout the entire game that they were wearing on Belleville. Mind you, they had their chance to win the game, but they just fell short and made a lot of mistakes, especially special teams. But Bryce Underwood, 3 touchdowns. The first one was a passing touchdown where he threw right down the middle, and the receiver caught it on the defender's body right in between the safety and the corner. It was a beautiful pass. Next touchdown right before the half was like a 20-yard run to the left, kind of beat out the guys. And the third one was in the second half where he scrambled for like 60 yards and ended up scoring. That athleticism is there. We talked about his passing, but what I noticed is elite size, elite arm, but his running ability is really what's going to make the difference. He's ran a lot more his senior season. I know they fell short 35-21, but the talent, the eliteness, and the ability to be a star at the next level and possibly NFL is all there. I've seen everything I need to see from him. So, and as far as the Michigan thing, hey, I'm optimistic. I know he tweeted out or put an Instagram post of retweeting the post about $10.5 million. Who knows? We'll wait till signing day. But I'm gonna say if I give you a percent on if I think Michigan get him, it's probably about 30%. I still think he stays committed to LSU unless for some miracle reason that LSU's coordinator gets fired, leaves, or Brian Kelly in a miraculous fashion gets fired. I don't think it happens, but I do think Bryce seems like the kind of guy who wants to get out of Michigan and pave his own trail. So I'd be happy. We need a quarterback for sure, but if we're willing to pay him $10.5 million, then that tells me that they got a lot of money to pony up and they can divide that into elite quarterback in the portal, some receivers, and I talked about before we need a lot of other positions, offensive line, defensive line, just a lot of things. So all in all, just a great kid. I think he's going to be successful whatever he decides to do.
Yeah, I saw like a few highlights of it afterwards. It was definitely intriguing. I don't know if it was true what I scrolled upon, but I was on TikTok. I had no way of verifying it really, other than what was going on in the bio. But I saw a thing that was Bryce Underwood 5-star, the star emoji was the name, like Bryce Underwood Bryce Underwood, and then the 5 with a star emoji. It could not have been him, but it could have been him. I don't know. No way of verifying it, but it said you thought 10.5 million NIL would get me to decommit, and then you like swipe. It was like, haha, you're wrong. It shows some like LSU gear. So could have been a fake. I went to the account and showed a bunch of Belleville like highlights of his. So I don't know, but who knows if he's going to? I mean, that's a lot of money to turn down. That's more money than I think the first overall pick in the NFL draft gets. If somewhere around there, I know it's like 9.5 million. I'm pretty sure it's 2 because I think that's what Hutch is at, but could be more than that. I'm with Adrian. I think he wants to go somewhere that's not in Michigan and play football. I think he wants to experience. I mean, the Big House is obviously a crazy atmosphere, and especially if he was there. But Death Valley is like a whole nother level, like people say, especially as of late because it's SEC. He plays you get to play in warmer weather. I'm sure he probably likes that. I know we've talked about how he wants to go and be part of a big passing game. LSU, we know, is up there for receiver U. So I think he just wants to go and display his arm talent and his athletic ability. And I think that a school like LSU has just the same amount of recruiting status that Michigan would. I would think. I mean, they won a national championship not too long ago too. So do I think he wins with Brian Kelly? I don't know, because I just think Brian Kelly's not a great coach. But hey, man, if he wants to go there and play, then he can go there and play. Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's just so many other opportunities where he can make money that he doesn't need that NIL money, that he just would stay committed to LSU because it's probably just a better. Again, I think you can still put effect of going elsewhere and playing in different weather to the effect.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up just going to LSU. I think he's going to start as well because I think Nussmeier Nussmeier will get top dollar in the transfer portal. I think the money.
He's either getting transfer portal or he's going to say, I don't want to go back to a different school and try and do anything. He might just go to the draft. I mean, obviously those are his two options, but he's no way he's back at LSU.
He'll get top dollar in the portal for sure.
No way.
No,
I don't want
him at Florida State.
Oh, by the way, just for fans who don't follow college recruiting too heavy, the early national signing day is 15 days from now, so it's 2 weeks from tomorrow. So we'll know a lot more in this next probably 48 hours or so. But like I said, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic, but I don't see it happening.
Insult to injury. Did you see, Adrian, that the kid who decommitted from Florida State committed to Florida?
Yeah, Saint Louis Pierre or something like that. I was gonna send it to you earlier, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to ruin your day, as they're already. I
already got the notification. Day's ruined anytime I see that Seminole logo come up on my phone.
Hey, Raaj, and this is more for me and you because Reid's not gonna care, but the DB from that committed to Michigan, Ike Taylor's son, former Steeler, he just flipped to Alabama last night, which I seen coming. So.
Don't they have another top recruit DB though, or safety?
Michigan?
Yeah,
they got a kid from like DC area, and then they just flipped the corner from Georgia.
That's what I'm thinking of. Maybe.
Yeah, Shamari Earls. Yeah.
Yeah, if these guys want to start flipping, you're gonna have to just hit the portal hard. Hit the portal hard, spend some money.
Well, trust me. After the last week of the regular season is next after the 4th, I believe it opens. So it's gonna be. I'm gonna have to update you guys. It's gonna be complete chaos, and I don't honestly see a lot of big schools firing their coaches this year. I think this is going to be a really low-key year for all those firings right now. So
yeah, I'm not expecting anything from my school. So
you guys can get Nussmeier. All right, some feedback here. It says, I just don't think it's a good idea to give $10 million to a college player, and there should be a regulated cap at $1 million.
I'll go really quickly. They are implementing something. I think it's next year. I'm not sure what the cap is, but they are doing that. I don't think it should be capped at $1 million if they're going to do this, because then might as well just not even do it. I say cap it at like 20, maybe. I'm giving it a high number. I was thinking maybe 30, but that's still a lot of money. I would say 15 to 20 mil, because if you do $1 million, there's, kids probably aren't going to transfer anywhere. You just go back to the old rules where you just don't let kids take NIL at that point if you're going to cap it at $1 million. But they are implementing a rule. Maybe Adrian, you got a little more insight on it, but.
No, I was just going to say, with that new contract that the Power Conference has signed next year, the revenue sharing is coming in. So, which means, don't correct me on this, but it's how I'm interpreting it. Each school will get the same amount of money to divvy up in their program. So now each school will have the same opportunity and ample opportunity to offer a kid. Say, hey, it's between Ohio State, Penn State, and they both they have the same amount of money. So it decides on how they want to allocate that money, but they won't be able to go higher than that. So kid can, Ohio State offered me $20,000 more. I'm going to go to Penn State because I like it better. So I think it gives players more incentive. They really have to pick a fit in the culture and what's better for them. And like I'm gonna tell, at the end of the day, if I'm a kid and I'm good enough, I'll tell you guys, if I'm good enough to make it to the NFL, then I can go get that NIL money. But I also have to go where it's going to fit me the most, because I'm trying to better myself to get to the NFL. Now, for the guys who aren't good enough, then I understand it. But if you're really trying to make a name for yourself, think about that long-term money as well. But I can never knock a kid for going to get his money. Hey, it's been a long time coming. These kids have earned it. Some of these kids get too overpaid, but like they said, there needs to be a guardrail, which I think they're going to try to start doing. But it's like I said, it's the wild, wild west right now.
Sure. It is, in my opinion, college football is ruined now.
Oh, there's some truth to that.
I don't think it's ruined, because it's still a good product. It's just it's a lot more money flowing now. The business is being handled. So, like
I said last week, it's probably the most exciting season of college football I've watched in a long time, because you don't know the clear-cut number one. Obviously, it's Oregon right now, but they've had a strange schedule. I think that it's not ruined. It's just oversaturated, if that
devalued.
Devalued. It's just because all these kids can go somewhere for money, and it's just not what we're used to, unfortunately. I mean, kids of the future are going to grow up knowing that this is what it is, unless it goes back to the old ways, which I don't think it will, because money rules the world. But I think that it's just the new way of living, and I mean, people have been talking about kids. Kids have been getting paid under the table. Johnny Manziel's talked about it. Reggie Bush, obviously, with the whole Heisman scandal. Like you've had stuff happen in the past. So now it's just come to light, and I think it's better for the kids. I think it just there's no true loyalty to a program now. It's a lot of money based. Which, hey man, they call the NFL the no fun league, the not for long league. It's you got to get your money while you can when you're doing this stuff. And if you're a good enough college athlete, I guess you deserve it,
Yeah, my biggest gripe with this whole landscape change is not the 12 team, because I think in 2 years they're going to 16, because this year we got this year, next team we're 12 year, and then they gotta get 12 team and they gotta figure it out. But my biggest gripe is that the fact that these football guys are getting controlled by the network guys. I'm not gonna get to the politics, but basically, you don't get some of these games when you should get them. Ohio State, Indiana this weekend should not be a noon game. Come on now, guys. That's going to be number 2 versus number 5 in the shoe. Indiana has a chance to make a statement win. And then last week, for example, or a couple weeks ago, Penn State had their whiteout game on Peacock, on a streaming app against Washington, not against Ohio State.
Quickly, I'd be curious to know what was the viewership on that game versus other whiteout games. I'm very curious about that. So we can look that up later, but I'm curious. Go ahead. Sorry.
I will get back to. I can do some research on that this week, and I can drop those numbers on the show next week.
We'll go back around. Yeah.
Very interesting, but just things like that. Just that ruins the aura of college football as we know it. Think about that. Think about last time Ohio State played Penn State at home in a whiteout game. The block kick returned it. They beat Ohio State. So just things like that. Like even like some of these things, like eventually I think Michigan and Ohio State will get moved to a late game, and they'll take it off the last game of the season, because it kind of like it says devalues rivalries a bit, because you can lose a game and still go play and play again next week. Say if Michigan was 10-1 right now, and they could possibly play it again. Just things like that. These are things we think of, but you got to take the pros with the cons, and that's what happens when you dance with the networks. You take the money and you like Reid said, you saturate it, devalue it. So just things we got to get used to. I mean, I might not like everything, but I just adapt to it. Like I'm sure some of these coaches are frustrated. If I was a coach, I would be in the NFL. It's a much easier job in the NFL.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money.
Yep.
Say much better.
Yeah. We just talked about a little bit Indiana at Ohio State this Saturday. Indiana going into the Horseshoe undefeated 10-0, but Ohio State 14-point favorite. How you see that one going?
You want me to talk? Sorry, I was going to say Cleveland's on what is it now? They're on a 18-2 run, I think. It's 82-76 now. They're coming back.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So, well, we've all know I'm the Indiana guy. I've been banging the table. That Michigan game did get me a little, it gave me a little bit of a heart attack last week. Indiana obviously didn't look good, pulled it out. My guy Rourke did not look great. Playing in the shoes, no small feat, but I definitely think Indiana has a chance to win this, especially if they look back on, everything that they did wrong in that Michigan game, not converting on their fourth downs. The wide receivers sold a lot of those plays. You had you had 3 or 4 drop first downs in that second half that were critical, going for it on third or going for it on fourth. So it was not great. But I definitely think that, Indiana has a chance. That defense is Cignetti has that defense rolling. You really just have to take out Ibuka and Smith, which I know is a tall task, and then focus on the running backs. They have a lot of high-powered offensive weapons, but I don't think Will Howard is a great quarterback. So I've been banging my fist about Indiana all year. I feel like I have to ride with them. I'm going to take Indiana. The American way. I'm going to take Indiana, beating Ohio State at home and going 11-0 and making the college football playoff.
Yeah, for me, Justice Ellison's playing the running back. He should be. I mean, they got a bye
He
week. He
should be,
got
but I
banged
can
up.
look.
Yeah,
The college
that's
football injury reports be so just
Yeah, they're
unknown.
so yeah.
that's a. I don't even want to go on a rant about that. That's a whole nother story.
You
But
kind of
the
did
just
last weekend, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
But
I do every week. I feel like because it just irks my soul. Just like with the Nico thing last week, we didn't know anything until a day before the game. Surprised we even knew that. But for me, -14, I think that's kind of a big spread. Um, but I'm gonna go Ohio State to win. I think it'll be close. I think they win by 10. I say they win 31-21 in the shoe. And keep marching. It's good. It's been a good run by Indiana. I believe their strength of schedule is 103rd in the nation. So this is going to tell me a lot. I think if they stay close in this game, then they can give the college football committee something to think about. But if they get their doors blown off, it's just going to be like they predicted. But that's what we talked about with the new conference alignment, these imbalanced schedules. So it's a crazy thing, but I think Ohio State finds a way. And I agree, Reid. I don't think Will Howard is that good. Ohio State hasn't played phenomenal football in my opinion, most of the year. So I think they're a beatable team. We talked about all these teams are beatable. So although Oregon, I know they played, but they were playing 8 straight weeks in a row. So that's tough traveling cross country. But I think Ohio State wins by 10.
Yeah, I'm running with Ohio State in this one too. I don't see Indiana pulling this one off. I don't think any college team goes undefeated this season. I think Indiana's going to lose. I think Oregon's going to lose eventually. So yeah, I think Ohio State's better than Indiana. They play tougher opponents. They're at home. I do like Indiana cover. I'm taking Ohio State by 13 points.
Huh.
13 points. I think that Indiana's undefeated season ends here. All right,
Cleveland
so
brought it. Cleveland brought it within 4. It's 84-80 right now, Boston. But Tatum's on the line. So let you know, I did search it up. 1 day ago, Kirk Cignetti said refreshed and recharged. Indiana football is at full strength. And then there was also 4 days ago saying that Ellison's healthy following the big hit versus Michigan. So
He's a
if
huge
you have
factor in their offense.
if you have two articles in the last 5 days that say he's going to go, then I guess you got to think that he's going to be there.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I will say if Indiana does pull that off, Rourke will be right up there in the Heisman in the Heisman favorites for sure.
Depends on how well he plays, to be honest with you. But yeah,
Yeah. All right. So closing college football out quickly. Reid, who your Heisman front runners right now?
yeah. So I think I'm just going to stick it to 3 right now. I think because 5, if once you get past 3, you can kind of put it any way you want. It's kind of whoever you like the best. So I've been battling back and forth with it a lot. I think Travis Hunter's game last Saturday was incredible. I think he had 5 catches for 55 yards, something like that. He had an interception and a touchdown. He played every single snap in the game, which I keep seeing people online complaining that that's not a stat. It definitely is a stat because he's like he has no rest. Like if you play offense, you have a rest. You have defense. He's playing every single snap. So people stop discrediting the kid because he played. Everybody talks about his snaps. That being said, it was very tough for me. I'm still keeping him at 1 because of the impact that he made in that game. And not only that, just the impact he plays every week with him playing both sides of the ball. We talked about it. I think he should go in as a receiver, but if he wants to go in as a corner, he can. He plays great corner in college. I think just a little different than the NFL. I think he'd be a more skilled wide receiver. Second is Genty. He's still there for me. He is at 1,800 rushing yards plus with I think it's 28 touchdowns. So, I mean, here's another thing that everybody's talking about. He's taking so many attempts, so many rushing attempts. He took 30 rushing attempts. So you see guys in the NFL that take 20, 25 rushing attempts. So it's normal for a running back to take a lot of rushing attempts. He's the mainstay in their offense. He's the reason that they're ranked as high as they are. I don't think that there's any way that you can discount those two as one. If you're one of those freaks that think a quarterback should win it, I would just put Dylan Gabriel up there because stats aside with Cam Ward, he does play in an easier division. He's had an easier schedule all season, strength of schedule, I would say. Dylan Gabriel is still playing very well, and his team is undefeated. He's ranked number 1 in the country. So I think those 3 are kind of the mainstay at the Heisman voting. I know a lot of people will have it the same way if you look online. I just think that you can't really argue a lot of other guys, especially since Cam Ward just lost. If you cycle in Milrow, he's lost games, but he hasn't looked great recently. So I think you could cycle Genty and Travis Hunter. You can flip them 1 and 2. But what they're both doing is incredible. You haven't seen a guy you really haven't seen a guy like Travis Hunter. The only guy I can maybe think of is like Charles Woodson. Like he's probably the closest guy I would think with the way like the amount of time that he played. So and then Genty, again, you haven't seen a guy like him since probably Barry Sanders. I mean, Derrick Henry was obviously incredible, but Genty's going to hit well over 2,000 yards rushing and over 30 touchdowns, I would say. So it's hopefully it's not a quarterback. I know me and Adrian both say that every time. I think these two guys are playing so incredible that you can't really, discredit either one of them.
Sure. I'd agree. It's a 2-team. Come on, David. Come on, man. Excuse me. I would say Reid at 3. I would say it's a 2-man race. I think we're gonna end up at the end getting our wish. It's either gonna be Genty or it's gonna be Travis Hunter, and I'm totally okay with that. This year hasn't been this breakout, like just most obvious candidate in the entire world, like we're used to being from college football. There's so much spread out talent now that we talked about, especially with NIL and the portal. And the 2 guys that are leading the Heisman are a guy from Colorado, who's been a terrible program before Deion got there, and a guy from a G5 school in Boise State who's put some good guys in the league. But that just goes to show you that there's talent everywhere. But I think we're going to get our wish. Genty or Travis Hunter, I'm totally good with. Cam Ward, I think, would be 3rd. I think he's way back there. Like he's talked about, he lost. It didn't play well, and also I think SMU is better than Miami. But that's just, hey, you call it a hot take if you want to, but that's just me. That's just me.
Okay. All right. Cool. There it is. All right. So yeah, let's switch over to the NFL. Reid, the Jets fired their GM today. Giants announced they're benching Daniel Jones. What's going on with the New York teams in the NFL right now?
I'm surprised the Giants GM still has a job, to be honest with you. I think he's newer. That's probably why. I read something. I don't know how true it is. I read something on a page that I follow on Instagram that is generally pretty right about these things and said that Aaron Rodgers won't finish out his contract in New York, which is one more year after this, obviously. Which it is. If it is, he pulled the biggest wool over their eyes because he also just made the trade for Devontae Adams, who hasn't looked great. So yeah, I think it's going to get a little bit easier for the Jets because their schedule heading out past this is a little bit. It's not so hard. It's an easier schedule moving forward. So I think they could sneak in a few games here and there. So maybe they can change their mind on Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, it's just, the Jets are turning into one of those organizations as like the Browns, like the Lions used to be, but like the Browns for sure. And then the Giants too. I mean, you fall from grace after Eli Manning leaves. You draft Daniel Jones thinking that was a good idea. I don't know. I was thinking, we were talking, pre-show about Dallas potentially, getting Shadur Sanders, but I had another conspiracy theory for tinfoil hat that maybe the Giants don't use the 2nd overall pick for a quarterback and they wait until next year and get Arch Manning. That was another little tinfoil conspiracy hat I thought of. Because, I mean, if you think about it, your team's going to be bad enough next year to get the 1st overall pick, and Arch might not even be the 1st overall pick. But either way, I don't know. New York is – Daboll's got to be in the hot seat. Like, you can't really give him much of a leeway with, what he's got. But, like, at some point, you kind of got to think, like, this guy's got to go. So, yeah, they're just bad organizations. Really bad organizations.
I think the Giants are pretty much tanking at this point by benching Daniel Jones. Not that Daniel Jones is great or nothing, but you got a much better chance of winning with him than Tommy DeVito. I think they're trying to get that 1st pick at this point.
You have a better chance. I think that's why they put in Tommy DeVito over Drew Lock.
There's the reason why Daniel Jones is being benched now is because, and he's going to 3rd string, is because if he gets hurt before, I think it's like March something, the Giants owe him $25 million, and they can, and if he doesn't get hurt, they can void that and basically
he has an insurance policy.
Yeah. So smart by the Giants to finally realize, okay, we're not winning anything. We're ready to move on from him. Don't let him get hurt, and we can get rid of the extra $25 million and add it to our cap space. And as far as the Jets go, Aaron Rodgers doesn't get as much blame as he should. He completely destroyed this franchise even more than it's already have. They're up there right now with the Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders. It's I don't know. This franchise is just somewhat kind of cursed. I just don't get it. Joe Douglas was about to be his contract was up at the end of the season anyway. So I mean, regardless, they were just ready to cut ties now. And I think the owner is awful too. Woody Johnson, he just the guy's all over the place. So I don't think the Jets end up ever being good until they get new ownership. Look at the Commanders. Daniel Snyder had to sell the team, and now look what they're doing right now. So I think it just comes in the times of that. Like even the Fords, after for a long time until a competent Ford finally took over for the Lions and made them respectable. Just I don't get it. Like New York is a big franchise. The Giants, I think, are in a better position because they've shown the ability over the years to be consistent winners. So I don't know. I don't think Dable gets fired. I think he gets one more year, in my opinion. But I think it's a lot more dire with the New York Jets right now because they gave Aaron Rodgers everything he wanted, and it just got worse as the season went along.
They got Reed's boy Jordan Travis in the waiting, maybe
third.
I would like him to have the last year in Aaron Rodgers' contract, so maybe they do win a few games and keep Aaron Rodgers around. But I would like him to sit one more year because obviously he had to rehab that leg and everything. But dude, he plays very similarly to the way Aaron Rodgers played in like Green Bay and kind of the way Jordan Love plays. I mean, he's a little shorter of a quarterback, but I do want to ask you guys really quickly before we move on to the next talking point. Do you think Cleveland in some way tries to find someone who wants Deshaun Watson and gets rid of him? Or do you think, like, I'm sure they have so much guaranteed money, so it's a lot of dead cap, as we talked about with Dak, but do you think they find a suitor that might try and take Deshaun Watson?
I think – you want me to go first, Raj, or you want to go first?
Go ahead. I'll follow up.
I think, and this is crazy to say, I think they pay him to just go away. That's how bad the situation has got.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure they're going to draft a quarterback in the first round. I would keep Deshaun Watson around. Yeah, I would fish around to see if you can get a trade for him. I don't know if anybody's going to take on that contract or not, but you bring in a rookie, you just use him as a bridge guy, keep him in the room. You're already paying the guy a bunch of money. I don't see the point of paying the guy a bunch of money, then having him go leave. At least get your money's worth. Let him be around, help him groom a rookie. Honestly, I would keep him around personally, but I definitely would draft a quarterback.
I was more on the Raj side of that, where I think they're going to draft a quarterback this year. I think it's going to be – I think they're going to try and somehow get Cam Ward because I think they're picking like around 4th or something right now, as of right now.
Check that.
But also, you say that, I would be interested to know what Jameis's contract is.
Jameis Winston, I can check for you.
I think Jameis is going to be a hot commodity come free agency.
He's either going to be a hot commodity come free agency, or I would just try and get rid of Deshaun Watson and that money and rebuild and keep Jameis as your starting quarterback. That is going to cost you, it's going to cost you still more money because you have to pay Deshaun Watson, but it's going to cost you a lot less in the long run. And then you have Cam Ward who can kind of back him up and play similarly to Jameis, the way Jameis played.
Guys, do you know that Jameis is only 30 years old?
Yeah.
It feels like he's been playing in the NFL for 1,000 years.
He was like he was one of those like 21-year-old draft picks. He was really young when he got drafted.
He signed a 1-year, $4 million deal with Cleveland.
I'd re-sign Jameis upon them. But you're right. I think you rolled your eyes at it, Adrian, or laughed at it. I think Jameis would. He's played decent since he's started for Cleveland.
He's a veteran. He'd be a good bridge guy, even to a team that drafts a quarterback. He's still a good bridge guy.
Jameis Winston or Geno Smith?
Ooh, I'm gonna go Geno. Slight edge. I'll take Geno.
Ooh,
I'll
that's
take
tough.
Geno.
As of right now, I'm gonna go with Jameis. I'm going Jameis right now.
I'll take Geno.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that Jameis had a pretty good career in Tampa too. He just threw a lot of interceptions. That was all.
I'm a little nervous for Thursday night because he might do some Jameis things. And
no, he's not going to. Please.
Safe to say that is it safe to say that it was not the head coach's fault with the New York Jets?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I would say that it's not fully Robert Saleh's fault. I think he had a play in it because look, he still went to Green Bay, and Green Bay still looks bad. Like he's a defensive assistant in Green Bay, and they still look bad. But like, obviously, he's not calling plays. But yeah, I mean. They had the interim head coach, and I think they said that they allowed the second most points of any team since a coach was fired. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely part of his fault, but I don't think it's all on him. I think, like Adrian said, a lot of it's on Aaron Rodgers, man. I think Aaron Rodgers has to blame for some of it. Not some of it, he's to blame for like 60% of it. And you just gave him a draft pick for Devontae Adams for him.
Yeah.
Just go back up to yeah, right.
Can we talk about how bad
his ego's way too
is?
big? Yeah, horrible.
Did
you see what Hassan Reddick said?
I didn't. What did he say?
Hassan Reddick said he's gonna seek a trade after this season to get out of the Jets. He's just playing to rack up as many sacks as he can so he can go somewhere and get paid somewhere else.
He was a part of this problem too. Like this whole thing was just a big dumpster fire. Like it's crazy. Like it's crazy.
Now, if you're the Jets, last thing I have to say, if you're the Jets, are you trying to trade Garrett Wilson or Sauce Gardner or Breece Hall?
I wouldn't do it.
No, you gotta have some. You gotta have some foundational pieces. I mean, some of those guys are still. Those guys are
okay.
Still
Let me rephrase it. Are you trading Breece Hall? He's the first piece that's probably going to not get a contract because he's a running back, and he's probably the most injury prone out of the three guys. That's three young people, and he can still get you something good. If you're rebuilding the Jets, you take a quarterback next year, a rookie quarterback. Are you keeping Breece Hall around, or are you trading him? You remember you drafted Braylon Allen too.
I'm keeping him. You got to.
Yeah, I'm keeping him too because if you draft a young quarterback, put as many pieces to the puzzle around him as you can. Don't take away from him. So.
I am a little worried about Garrett Wilson, not in the fact that they would want to trade him, but I think he's getting a little frustrated with what's going on there. But I mean, we can monitor that. But real quick before we move on to the next part, I'll read you guys the top updated draft order right now. So I'll read the top 10. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Cleveland, New York Giants, Las Vegas, New England, Jets, Carolina, Dallas, New Orleans.
So
you think
possibly
what,
five of those teams need a quarterback?
I think
New York, Cleveland, or New Orleans. Who else did you say in there? Not New England. They don't need one.
Tennessee,
Jets,
Tennessee, Vegas.
Tennessee. Oh, Vegas.
Out of the
So
top
maybe
10,
6. Cleveland, New Orleans, Vegas, Giants, Jets, and Titans.
Yep.
It's the Titans. I don't know if the Titans necessarily.
And I'll put a question mark. I'll put a question mark next to Carolina because maybe they give Bryce Young another chance, and they might not be high enough to pick. So
that's why if I'm Jacksonville, I'm listening to every trade offer that Cleveland and New York are offering me.
100%.
But I'm doing the old. I'm not letting another team that doesn't need a quarterback draft before me. Because you probably want Travis Hunter. Like if you're Jacksonville, I mean, you have a lot of other needs, but you need wide receiver. They need
everything.
They need everything.
Yeah. So just take the best player available.
Yeah.
So, all right. So Reid, Lions, they had the track meet against the Jags on Sunday. They're at the Colts this Sunday. What's the state of the Lions?
I mean, I've said it for the last couple of weeks. Obviously, I think they're the best team in the NFL. Granted, they weren't undefeated as Raaj said with the Chiefs, but I think when you put up, almost 50 points 3 times this year against teams, granted one was Dallas, Tennessee, and now this one, they went seven possessions and they scored 7 times. They probably could have scored 8 if they didn't bring in the backups. They got a field goal with Hendon Hooker and then they nailed it the rest of the game. So, I just think that this team is firing on all cylinders. I hate the fact that people keep saying that they're running up the score and they're doing this on purpose to embarrass people. No, they're not doing it to embarrass people. I'm sure. I think that they're just doing it because they have a chip on their shoulder. They lost in the NFC Championship game last year. They've been known as the laughingstock of the league for multiple years. Dan Campbell has played on this team when they were not good at all, when they were 0-16. I think that he just wants this team to be good, and I think that they built a great roster, and I think it was crazy for I forgot the guy's name. He's got the big nose on TV, and he said They have a civilian at quarterback, which, Cam Newton's caught flack for it, saying Jared Goff is a game manager, which I never understood why people hate people saying that they're game managers, because there is game managers. It doesn't make you a bad quarterback by any means. He just plays into his suits. He doesn't have to do a whole lot. The offense is catered to work around him. A lot of places of business cater to work around people that are important. So this is just another one of those situations. He's playing great, MVP caliber. He was 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. 24 of 27, something like that last week, like insane numbers. I just think that the Lions are firing on all cylinders. I hope they don't get tripped up on their own feet. I do think they can make it to the Super Bowl this year. San Francisco doesn't seem like they're anything of a threat. Your biggest threat in the NFC, I don't even know who the biggest threat in the NFC is right now. If I
say Philly.
Yeah, Philly. Yeah, I would think Philly, because they've come alive here recently. So yeah, probably Philly.
Philly's 8-2.
Yeah, they've come alive recently. Mitchell and DeJean have stepped in their own, but I still think this Lions offense is the best offense in football. I know people say the Ravens. I still think the Lions team what they're doing is incredible. They've put up, again, 50 points. I say 50 points. It was like 49 and something else the other game. So I think they're the best team in the NFL, and they're the team to beat.
Yeah, I'd agree with Reid. Nothing else, needs to be said. They're doing what they need to do against Jacksonville and against this team. They're just taking care of business. They're doing what they need to do against the Jaguars, against the Titans. They have just completely dismantled teams that they are much better than, and not let their foot off the gas. I like what Kirby said after the game. The comment about, "Hey, it's not our fault that we're beating you," pretty much. And I'm changing the quote a little bit, but just love the aggressiveness from this team, his defense. Brian Branch with a big hit on Ingram. Kirby Joseph with a big hit. They're just setting the tone, and every guy is locked in.
Sent the game to the Shadow Realm. That was insane.
This is just a special team right now, and everything is clicking on all cylinders. To me, it just feels like it's meant to be as an organization. Take advantage of it. We know Dan Campbell knows he's losing Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. I believe so. This is a special team. They definitely should be the Super Bowl favorites. Nothing more else I can really say. They're just clicking on all cylinders right now.
Dude,
I think the main goal for them is getting that 1 seed, that make the NFC run through 4.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I will say is that I don't think people realize enough. Everybody says, Jared Goff threw 5 picks in that game, and the Lions didn't look great against Houston. Dude, I want you to name me 5 teams. Not 5 teams. I want you to name me one other team in the NFL today. Maybe the Chiefs and the Bills. I guess you could maybe put on that would throw 5 interceptions and possibly and win a game. I don't think there's any other team that would even do that. That was incredible. And not only that, I'm asking the Chiefs to do it without Chris Jones, or asking the Bills to do it without not Ed Oliver, Von Miller or Rousseau, one of the two. They did it without their best defensive player, and mind you, the guy that they traded for in free agency is Darius Smith. No pass rush without him, although I think the best player on their defense is Brian Branch, but that's just me. But they did it with arguably 1B or 1A of their defense being gone. So I think this team is just special. Like Adrian said, you can probably expect to lose Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson next season. If not, I think Ben Johnson could possibly stick around, but I think Aaron Glenn searches out for a job. I think Ben Johnson might stay if he wins another Super Bowl. He seems to like it here. Aaron Glenn seems to like it here too, but I think Aaron Glenn's wanted to be a head coach.
I could see Aaron Glenn getting that Saints job.
I was just about to say that. You just I was just about to say that.
He's not. I know he played for the Jets, so he's not taking that Jets job. No.
The Saints is a little bit. I think the Saints is a little bit more of an attractive job for him since he coached there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say too. I know people are worried about the Anzalone injury. I know he broke his forearm. He'll be out 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how fast he heals. I don't think you need to rush him back. Jack Campbell's going to be in there full time. They drafted him as a first-round pick, so he needs to play like a first-round pick. Play your role. Just get Anzalone healthy. He'll be back for the playoffs. But like I said, just prioritize that, and I think you just got to make do with it. You've been doing it all season. I know it sucks, and he's one of the heart and soul guys of that defense, but I think they will be okay. Looking at this schedule right now, Colts Sunday, as we all know, I think they should be favored. Anthony Richardson had a bounce-back game. I think they should win that game. Bears on Thanksgiving, I think they should win that game. The Bears are And
A dumpster fire.
there you go. Packers at home. That game is always interesting because it's a Thursday night game. Then you got the one everybody's waiting on, the Bills,
Bills.
a Sunday game here. So that will be rocking. So I think their own pace. I think they maybe lose one more game. I think they probably lose one more game. I believe 2 more.
I think they could possibly lose 2 more. I'm going to put the Bills up to potentially a loss because the Bills are playing pretty on fire right now. Defense is playing well, and I think you could see them drop one to someone who they're not. Maybe that.
That Bears game 3 days before Christmas is always a tricky game for some reason.
I'm thinking the Bears game and maybe potentially the Vikings game at the end of the season. I think you could probably sneak the Vikings.
They could be resting, yeah.
They not only that, they could be resting. I think the Vikings might have a chance to keep trying, like not necessarily keep their playoff. It's like a seeding issue. I feel like the Vikings would want it to try and win it for the playoff seeding, and that's why the Vikings are gonna play harder than we think. So I think there's potentially 2 more there if I'm being realistic.
They got to go to San Fran late in the season too on Monday.
Yeah, it's the day before New Year's Eve.
Okay. So let me give you my prediction on the San Fran one. San Fran did not look good when they just played last week. I watched the game; they didn't look great. Christian McCaffrey's down there; they're dealing with a lot of injuries. I think them going to San Fran. I don't know if it's going to be as severe as Dallas, but I think it's going to be another Dallas game. I think they're going to come out and they're going to be hungry for the NFC Championship game last year, and they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth. I think they beat San Francisco handily, to be honest with you. The Bills is the one that I don't know about because Josh Allen is just such a freak of nature, and that defense is playing great now too. That one, and then again, like I said, the Vikings for playoff potential, I think, could be an interesting game.
No, that'll probably be. I don't know if I hope it's a Fox game and not a CBS game because I do not want to hear Tony Romo go Jim. Ooh. Nope, can't do it. Give me Tom Brady, please.
Yeah, I hate watching the CBS telecast broadcast. I like the Fox games, Fox and ESPN games. All right, let's see some of the feedback here. It says, is quarterback Zach Wilson really just not good at all, or was it the situation?
The situation, but I also don't think I think the thing for a young quarterback is confidence. I think they kind of just completely shattered his confidence.
Well, let me ask you this, Ish. Do you bring up Zach Wilson? What about Sam Darnold too? I mean, Sam Darnold bounced around the league after the Jets, and look at him now with the Vikings. He had a bad game 2 weeks ago where he threw 3 interceptions, but he just had a great game where he had 3 total touchdowns this last week. And the Vikings are 8-2 now, I believe. So I mean, he started off in the Jets. Zach Wilson is in the Broncos with Sean Payton. I don't think he's going to start there, obviously, because Bo Nix is there, but I think that they like him as a backup for right now, and I think that he could potentially get a start somewhere else. You know who I think should probably trade for him if they don't try and draft a quarterback? I think the Rams would be a good spot for him to land. I think it would be good. I think it would be a smart idea for them to try and get him. I think that maybe the Seahawks, but they have Sam Howell. He could be okay. There's a few teams that I think could have Zach Wilson potentially be. I mean, Raj and I know. Raj and I back in the day were big Zach Wilson guys. We thought he was going to be pretty solid, but I think the toxicity of the New York media really got to those young quarterbacks, man. That's why I'm scared for them to draft a guy this year. And that's why I mentioned the trade of the young talent.
Yeah, Zach Wilson's little brother didn't look too good in that Utah-Colorado game on Saturday. He didn't look good at all. I mean, he's only a freshman, though, so I'm not gonna kill him too much. All right, so Adrian, your Steelers 8-2, first place in the AFC North right now. Do you fully expect your Steelers to win the North?
At this point, yes, I do expect them to win the North. Everything is kind of falling. It's like dominoes. And mind you, we were picked to finish dead last in the AFC North. And since this division has been around, I keep receipts, man. I keep receipts. Since this division has been around, the Steelers have never finished in last place. Mike Tomlin is showing you how great of a coach he is. I will say, because you guys know I was one of the first ones, I was not happy with the Russell Wilson bringing him after benching Justin Fields. But it's nothing Justin Fields did, but Russell took his offense and elevated it, although it didn't look perfect against the Ravens because we know those games are very, very crazy as it goes. But we beat Lamar yet again. He's 1-4 against us. But I fully expect the Steelers to win this division. Quick turnaround. I know we got to go play Cleveland and Cleveland, and I think it's gonna be a very windy game. Quick turnaround. So I'm looking for the Steelers to improve to 9-2. But this back stretch of this schedule is tough, guys. We got the Browns, Bengals, Browns again, and then these next 3 games are Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and
Yeah, that's tough.
that's a tough. And look at the day. You go from a Sunday to Saturday game, and that's a 6 day. That's a 6 day window. Then you turn around and you go right back from Saturday to Wednesday, which is Christmas this year. So the 5 day turnaround. So they're playing 3 games in like an 18 day span. That's going to be the schedule. That was going to be the 3 games to decide what they're going to do with this division. But I do believe they can sweep Cleveland. Cincinnati's always weird because Joe Burrow, just as good as he's playing, so they might get lucky and our defense doesn't play as well. But that's a 3 game schedule. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. So, but overall, I like what I see from this team this year. I'm just impressed. Mike Tomlin should be in consideration for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think that he definitely should be, but unfortunately, I don't think he'll win it because they'll give it to like some, I don't know. I don't even know who to think because Dan Campbell didn't win it the year that he took the Lions to the NFC Championship.
Crazy.
But again, people say it's a regular season award, so maybe he will. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Russ has played incredible, but he's obviously played good enough to win. I think Justin Fields played good enough to win in the beginning of the season, so they had it figured out. I think that they kind of want Justin to learn from Russ a little bit. That's why they benched him, and he gives a little bit more of a passing ability for Pickens. I think that an interesting trade that would be had in the offseason would maybe the Steelers going to get DJ Moore because I think he misses Justin Fields personally. So I'll throw that one out there into the ether for you, Adrian. But yeah, I mean, I hope that they win that division. Yeah, I don't know what voodoo magic Mike Tomlin puts on Lamar Jackson before they play, but he just made him look like. I mean, Lamar didn't even have like a terrible game. He went for like 250, 1-1 or something like that. Like he didn't have an awful game, but he just doesn't play good against them. I think it's because he can't improvise on that defense. I think just Mike Tomlin knows how that defense works. I think the Steelers I think they'll sweep the Browns because I think Newsome got hurt. One of their cornerbacks got hurt this last game. I don't know if he's out. I'm pretty sure it was Newsome. And then, yeah, Cincinnati's weird. But they didn't look good against the Chargers, so I think that the Steelers could definitely beat them. That the Steelers' defense is just incredible. The Steelers' defense, I think, is one of the most slept-on defenses in the NFL. T.J. Watt, I've said it before when he played. Was it the Falcons when he had like 12 sacks in one game? That was something like that. I just think that the defense is incredible. They definitely should win that. Should win that division for sure.
I think the biggest thing from the upgrade with Russell Wilson is the fact that he throws one of the most beautiful deep balls still. He puts it right on the money every single time. Yes, the one he threw to George Pickens on the sideline, dropped it right in the breadbasket, and just his defense continues to get better and better. Patrick Queen struggled at the beginning of the season trying to figure out this defense, but he was a man-child on Sunday, ripping that ball out like he did on Isaiah Likely, just making some big-time hits. Joey Porter Jr. Didn't allow a completion.
That was a revenge game for Queen, was it not? Didn't he get drafted by the Ravens?
Yeah, they didn't. He said they didn't offer him a contract. So the Avengers, Deshaun Elliott, the starting safety we got, was a former Raven as well. But yeah, like you said, this is the second game this season the Steelers have scored 18 points and won a game with 6 field goals, not a touchdown. That is crazy. I don't know how many teams in the league can actually muster up and do those kind of things, but I do believe we have the best kicker in the league, Chris Boswell. I believe he's on pace to make 40 field goals, which is
Jake Bates.
Insane. He is 20.
He's on my fantasy team this week. I think he scored me like 12 for 15, 12 to 13.
I think he had, I read a stat that said he has more fantasy points than any tight end in the NFL this year. And that's insane.
Reid, who would you rather have, T.J. Watt or Aiden Hutchinson?
I mean, I love Aiden, but I'd rather have T.J. Watt. T.J. Watson is incredible. That dude is an absolute freak. I think he already. I don't know if he has or not. You would have to look it up. I think he surpassed JJ on sacks,
I believe. Yeah, I believe.
or he's like 2 or 3 shy.
Okay. Quick feedback here. DC said Steelers versus Lions Super Bowl.
I'm cool with it.
We would have to get together for that. We would have to live stream that. There's no way we could not get together and do that.
Steelers dark horse in the AFC.
I saw David says, "Does Waymo get a second contract?" What I'll say to that, David, is I would assume he's going to get franchise tag. You have to see what happens. One, with this case that he has going on, which I don't think anything's going to happen by it. I think it's going to end up being just dropped and nothing's going to happen. Two, I think that he's just done too much in his past right now to deserve the second contract, and that's what they'll think. I definitely think they'll franchise tag him or take that 5th-year option. I'm sorry, not franchise tag, that 5th-year option with him. He's a pick. So he looked incredible at this last game, obviously. I mean, it was the Jags. I really want to see what he does against the Colts. I want to see what he does in the next 2 weeks. Obviously, the Colts and then the Bears on Thanksgiving. I want to see what he's going to do because the Bears obviously have a really good defense. So,
yeah, he's not getting an extension. I think they're going to evaluate him at the end of his rookie contract and see what they want to do from there.
I think it's year 5. I think it's going to be year 5. See what he does year 5, and then push him forward. He's been getting a lot more looks because Laporta's been injured and he's been on and off the field, or Jamo's been off the field. So I don't know what he's at yardage wise. I'll look it up. But Adrian and I might fall a little short because of the 2-game suspension.
Yeah, and if Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn end up taking a head coaching job somewhere else, maybe he go signs with one of those guys somewhere else. All right, let's see. Access 49ers versus Chargers Super Bowl.
Oh, I'd throw up. Harbaugh Bowl. He's at 538.
538. I mean, he can still get to 1,000 though. There's still a lot of games to be played.
There's 7 games left, so
it's possible.
I mean, he's had 2 120+ yard games, and then 2 80-yard games, almost 3 80-yard games, I should say. And then he had a bye week and 2 games he didn't play, and then he had -4 and 9 yards. He's obviously a deep threat guy. Like he's not going to get a bunch of targets a game, but dude, if you just if you just get him on a crossing route or you get him on a slant at the right time, and you're able to have the corner on the other side of the field follow the receiver he's supposed to, you get him over and you get it over the linebackers, he's going to be gone. He's going to take off.
All right, real quick before we get out of here. TJ Watt is currently at 104 career sacks. JJ is at 114 and a half, so he's 11 away from passing his brother. I don't think he gets it this year. Maybe. But
I think he does. I think he gets a lot for Cleveland, and a lot against Cleveland. You said it's Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland.
Yep.
I feel like he gets not obviously 14, but I bet you he gets probably around 6 sacks around that time.
Yeah, it's possible to pass him. If he gets 11 more sacks, I'd put him at 18 and a half for this year. So another phenomenal year, but we'll see. So it's
once you asked that question, Raj, Hutch could have been so close. Hutch could have led the league in sacks. Dude, he was at 7.5. He was in the top 5 up until 2 weeks ago.
Crazy.
Yeah, he was on pace for sure. All right, let's close it out with Adrian's top 5 list. Let's get out of here with the top 5 list.
All right, top 5 list. Let me pull this up real quick. Sorry, guys. Top 5 list. You want me to go from 5 to 1?
Yeah, always start from 5.
Starting at number 5, I will take, I think, the second best team in the NFC, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they were coming off a bye week last week, so my biggest concern with them and what I'm worried about is Nick Sirianni. He's a complete buffoon, and I think he's going to cost them a chance to make a Super Bowl just because of coming to coaching season. It kind of reminds me of what Dan Campbell used to do when he was trying to figure it out, but Sirianni's been to a Super Bowl. I think he'll be fired after the season from Philly. That's just me. So the roster too talented. They're stacked. The defense has played a lot better this year, aside from last year when they were a dumpster fire. And number 4, my Pittsburgh Steelers. AFC North leading team right now, playing great football right now. Mike Tomlin's done a good job. By the way, George Pickens is 4th in the NFL receiving yards, behind CeeDee Lamb, Jefferson, and Chase. At number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning 2-time Super Bowl champs, they just suffered a loss to this team that's up next, and that is number 2, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is playing amazing football right now. I think the addition of Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman will be back from injury soon, James Cook, they're running the football. Just more of a balanced team is taking some pressure off Josh Allen. And that last touchdown to end the game where he ran through guys, ran over the safety and scored. I don't know any other quarterback besides Cam Newton in the past who could have done that. At number 1, Super Bowl favorites, in my opinion, the Detroit Lions. They should just continue to roll. And I believe they do. They should be the Super Bowl favorites, and they have a great shot at winning the Super Bowl this year. So there you have it, my top 5.
I don't have any problems with it. I mean, I think it was good. I'm sure people would probably say he's just doing it because he's a Steelers fan. But again, they just are leading in their division. They just beat the Ravens. I think that's a fine pick. People would probably put. I think just because of the explosive. Oh, we lost Raj. I think he'll be back. I think we lost the explosiveness of Phil. There we go. We're back.
Right before.
Technical difficulties right into the show. Yeah, everything was more smooth.
I think people might put would probably say Philly over the Steelers because of the explosiveness of the team in the division because they just beat Washington as well. So I still think it's fine. I think the Steelers are okay to be there at 4. And then obviously, the KC, I would say drop because they did lose to the Bills after being undefeated. That's another one people might say they could still be 2 because they're 9-1. But I think the whole list is fine, in my opinion. All depends on your idea of explosiveness of a team.
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh and Philly will play each other towards the end of the season anyway, so that's going to take care of itself. And I put Buffalo ahead of Kansas City just because they just beat them. That is the reason why. So I think those teams are neck and neck, even and even. So, and there's no argument about the Lions. And I know I'm a Steelers fan, but just the way they played, I think they're coached better right now than the Eagles. So I think that's what separates them. They have some grown-ups in the room.
Yeah, for sure. Lions are the best team in the NFL right now. They got it. They got it for sure. All right, cool. Yeah, there it is. Anything else you guys want to add before we get up out of here?
Celtics are up 113 with 14.2 left. So hey, we didn't get to the Pistons this week. I forgot we didn't get to them, but just like the start that they're off to. So we'll check back in with them next week to see if they can put some more wins together. But 6-9. So I mean, a lot better start than we thought. So
tough loss against the Bulls, but
tough.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, there it is. Sports Update. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all like the video. Tuesdays, 8 o'clock. And, we'll see y'all next Tuesday at 8. Sports Update. Peace.